Character modeling is taking the art from visual development and turning it into a 3D model, painting it, giving it life, and then handing it off to our character riggers who send it off to animation. So we actually create the object itself.
It's in general just become, I guess you'd say, more sophisticated, but it's more of a traditional media now. It's kind of, if you know how to sculpt traditionally, then you're going to transfer right in. Traditional skills are playing a more important role, which is great.
Do you feel that you've channeling the great masters of art history to help you achieve a new level?
Raphael, you know, they speak to me.
Really. One of the big things that I was looking forward to doing is nasty stuff like this, because before this I'd been doing more technical stuff, more like realistic humans. Doing realism is fun to a certain extent. It's more fun to do something that's slightly realistic. There's more artistic license as far as where you can go with it. With realism, there is no artistic license.
Creature design is kind of the most exciting thing. Like Peter was saying, artistic freedom, and just you can do kind of whatever you want and you push things. I mean, that's what the great masters did, so it's just exciting to work on that kind of thing.
Here's my workstation. I have my Cintiq, which is what we use to paint and model. This is the monitor that we can actually draw on, paint on the screen, sculpt in ZBrush, which is very helpful and amazing. And then on the left of me, I have my standard monitor where I usually keep my reference. We're able to give metal a kind of specularity that we couldn't before. Scratches, blood, a real shine and realism that we couldn't deliver on the last project. We are working with a lot more polygons and a lot more textures on our project this time, per object.
Here's Hermes, the concept art that I got from Andy Park, who did a great job. You can see the boots are in there and what color they're supposed to be, what material. We're still working on the cloth, making sure that's all rigged nicely. And right now, I'm fighting with the hair, trying to make the hair look good. So hopefully by the time you see this in the game, it'll be looking nice and transparent. So here we are starting him out in ZBrush and adding a lot of the little detail. Say if you wanted his skin to bulge around these straps, it would be really easy to go ahead and just add musculature in here.
Today you may defeat me, but in the end, Kratos, you'll betray only yourself.
This is the centaur in our game. Andy Park did the concept. They always do like a colored version first like this to kind of nail the feel of the character and like what he's all about. And then they'll give us these turnarounds like this one. We have, you know, the horses have these like chest muscles that kind of flow up into the horse neck, you know, this way. And we have abdomen muscles and these obliques that kind of flow in. And where our hips sit, you know, is kind of where their shoulder blades sit. So typically most people draw centaurs. You know, I'm not the first one to make one of these things. So, you know, this has been thought about before. But typically, you know, our hips, like where the hips would sit on a human, they put where the shoulder blades would be. It feels kind of like it would work, you know.
Kratos was created from scratch simply because we weren't sure where we wanted to go in the third game, if we were going to change him at all, or if we were going to maintain the PS2 silhouette and essentially the same exact character. We felt like it might be an opportunity to really make some changes to him, considering the level of fidelity and sophistication and what we could create now on the PS3. We started out way out there. 2.5 years later, we decided that he looks like the PS2 model. So we're back to where we started, but it's really coming together, and it's right for the game. Kratos is a very heroic, very stylized silhouette, a very thin waist, very broad shoulders. He has kind of a swimmer's build on steroids. He's 8.5 feet tall, and he has a head the size of a 4-foot-tall person. His waist is probably thinner than all of our wives. He's a trippy-looking guy, but he reads really well in the game. Basically what I'm working on now is we've got an upper body and a mesh that the art director, as well as the director, really like. So now it's a matter of creating a blend map, which is new technology for Sony Santa Monica, in that we can do expressions. Basically, I'm just creating the rage, sculpting him looking angry, and we'll be able to blend this new facial expression into the current model. So we can go from here to here. The satisfaction comes in seeing him in the game saying, wow, that's him. Only look, you can see his veins and you can see him breathing. And it looks better than the cinematics. That's kind of that's the satisfaction.
sun has returned. I bring the destruction of Olympus!
Caden's crow in the opening cinematic flies down and ends up landing on this hapless victim. And as he's eating the guy, he rips the eyeball out of the socket. So it's especially like juicy and nasty. Later today, I'll be working on the vein that the eyeball's attached to. So maybe the crow can like wrestle the eye out and really get some good squirming going on in the audience, sort of thing. The way it works is that you lay down your base color. For example, with this guy, you get like a good skin tone going. And then from there, you add additional details. Like with this guy, his main details are the cuts that he has and then the dirt that's added. There's some sort of distortion going on here, and that's because it's actually being wrapped in 3D. So you can sort of feel where the chin line is just because of how these are bending.
This is Hercules, and he's wearing these cestises, and basically they're like these huge gauntlets. Just trying to get across the fact that he's kind of like this aged warlord. He's not a super fresh young guy, so he's got some fat to him and some history. He's basically Kratos' brother, so a lot of the visual elements that he has, I think, parallel what Kratos wears. The really fun stuff was sculpting his flesh and his muscles and whatnot. Like, this is a final concept image, but we take it a step further and put a level of polish on it that isn't there. Because once it's here, this is a beautiful painting, but once it goes in the game, it needs to be perfect at every angle. Every angle you look at it has to be a great piece of work. So it's you have to go in and you take this and you take everything a step further, and there can't be any mistakes.
Call it my 13th and final labor. Soon I will become the god of war and claim the throne for myself.